Warren Buffett once shared a powerful concept about how the rich achieve financial freedom without working their entire lives. He said there's a clear difference. Poor people work for money, while the rich make money work for them. The middle class spends their whole life chasing financial security, but the wealthy focus on building assets that generate cash flow, giving them total freedom. Here are 8 assets that have helped them escape the rat race, and most people have no idea they exist. 1. Business. I used to ask myself honestly, how do some people manage to earn millions, even billions of dollars? Are they exceptionally intelligent? Do they come from powerful families, or possess some hidden magic? Or do they simply do something I never thought of? Back then, I held the same prejudice as many others, that rich people must have done something shady, where they simply sat back and enjoyed the fruits of other people's labor. But I was wrong, very wrong. The truth is, many of them started from nothing, with just an idea, a dream, and an unshakable belief. They weren't handed anything. No one gave them a special ticket. Instead, they chose a path few dared to take, the path of entrepreneurship, the path of risk, sleepless nights, moments of failure, and mental scars that only those who've walked that road can understand. I remember the story of Howard Schultz, the man who took Starbucks from a small coffee machine store to a global coffee empire. No one believed in his dream when he said, "I want to bring the Italian coffee house culture to America." He was rejected by over 200 investors, but he didn't give up. He believed absolutely in his vision, and now, every time you walk into Starbucks, you are walking into that dream that was once ridiculed. Building a business is not a shortcut. On the contrary, it's a long, arduous, and demanding journey. But that's exactly why it is the first and most powerful asset the wealthy use to build financial freedom for themselves. Compared to employees who spend their entire lives trading time for a monthly paycheck, entrepreneurs choose to invest their time and energy in the first few years to build a money-making machine. Once that system is running smoothly, they no longer need to earn money, because money finds its way to them automatically. Look at Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon. He spent the first decade living frugally, working tirelessly in a garage, battling losses, doubts, and fierce competition. But he understood one thing. If he could build an efficient operating system, a business that met real market needs, he could not only live well, but change the world. And he did. Entrepreneurship is not for everyone, I understand that. But if you truly yearn for financial freedom, if you want control over your time and your life, then building a business, whether big or small, is an essential step. It doesn't have to start with something grand. It could be an Etsy store selling handmade items, an online service providing solutions to others, or a YouTube channel sharing knowledge you have. What matters is this: you're no longer confined by someone else's salary or work schedule. You begin creating cash flow, not just income. And you know what? Once you can create cash flow without constant manual labor, you're laying the first bricks of building a life where you don't need to retire, because you're living the life you choose, not the life dictated by fear. A business, even just a small idea today, can become the asset that creates freedom tomorrow. And that's why in my journey from the left side to the right side of the cash flow quadrant, this is the first asset I chose to build, not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. Next, I'll share about the second asset, a powerful tool that the wealthy use to multiply the value of their businesses and accelerate their journey to financial freedom. But before that, I want to ask you one thing. Are you ready to start building assets for yourself, or are you still living by someone else's schedule? 2. Real estate. I used to think, if I don't have enough capital, enough knowledge, or a team, how could I ever start a business? I would look at entrepreneurs and think, I have nothing. Where do I even begin? And then I discovered another path, an asset just as powerful as a business, but more accessible for many: real estate. The truth is, not everyone has the resources to start business. Entrepreneurship requires ideas, leadership skills, operational strategies, and a strong will. But real estate is different. You don't have to be a genius or have hundreds of thousands of dollars in your bank account. What you need is the right mindset and a smart strategy, using other people's money to create assets for yourself. That's the principle of OPM, other people's money. Imagine buying a rental property. Instead of using all your own money, you borrow from a bank. The tenants pay your monthly loan payments. You're using other people's money, the banks and the tenants, to create an asset for yourself. I still remember the story of Grant Cardone, a famous American entrepreneur who once lived in a small apartment with no money to spare. But he began investing in real estate by borrowing money and leasing properties. Today, he owns over $4 billion in real estate. He once said, "Don't save money, use it to acquire assets." And real estate is the best place to start. Not only does real estate generate a steady cash flow from rentals, but it also brings an incredibly attractive advantage: tax reductions. In the US, income from real estate can be written off for depreciation, mortgage interest, maintenance costs, meaning you pay much less in taxes compared to income from a regular job. Essentially, the government gives you extra money when you own real estate, and that's a gift the wealthy know how to take advantage of, while the poor are never taught. And the best part is, real estate is scalable. One property becomes 2, then 3, each generating passive income. No extra effort, no need to work 8 hours a day. Money still flows into your pockets every month. Look at the case of Brandon Turner, a well-known real estate author and investor, co-founder of Bigger Pockets. He started with an old house no one wanted. He renovated it, rented it out, and reinvested the profits into the next property. 10 years later, he owns hundreds of rental homes and is financially free. He shared, "Real estate didn't just give me money, it gave me time, freedom, and peace." That's what I realized. When you own real estate, you are no longer fully dependent on your main job. You no longer worry when you lose your job or when an economic crisis hits. Because you have a stable cash flow, you have real, tangible assets under your name, generating income. Even more, real estate is a sustainable asset. A house today could become the financial foundation for your children and grandchildren in the future. It not only gives you freedom, but it also helps the next generation start life from a better position. So, if you've ever thought, "I can't own a business," then start with real estate. Let money work for you, instead of you endlessly working for money. I used to be lost, confused, thinking I would never escape the cycle of salary, spending, death. But real estate showed me another way. A way to start building freedom, not by muscle but by mind. Not with large capital, but with a smart strategy. And that's why I chose real estate as the second asset on my journey to financial freedom. But the story doesn't end here, because there's another asset that allows you to duplicate your efforts, making every hour of work potentially generate infinite returns, even while you sleep. Are you ready to explore it? 3. Financial assets. I once thought, if I can't own a business and I don't have the means to invest in real estate, do I have any other option on the journey toward financial freedom? And the answer is yes. Not everyone has the time to manage a company. Not everyone has the skill to navigate the real estate market. But anyone, whether you're an office worker, a delivery driver, or a retired teacher, can start with something incredibly simple, yet profoundly effective: financial assets. I'm talking about stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and even government securities. These seemingly lifeless pieces of paper, when invested wisely, could become a steady financial stream for years to come. Picture this. Every time you invest in shares of companies like Apple, Google, or Coca-Cola, you're actually owning a small piece of that company. When they grow, you benefit. When they pay dividends, money flows back into your pocket. You don't have to manage anything. Just observe, learn, and stay disciplined. I know of an American woman who once lived on minimum wage. Her name was Ann Scheiber. She worked for 23 years in the tax department, never once promoted, never given a raise. But she saved, and she consistently invested in solid companies. When she passed away at 101, her estate was valued at over $22 million. That miracle happened because of discipline and the quiet power of financial assets. The beauty of this type of asset is that it's easy to start. You don't need hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy a house. With just a few hundred, or even a few dozen, you can own a fraction of a company. Thanks to platforms like Fidelity, Vanguard, or Robinhood, Anyone can build their own investment portfolio without going through expensive brokers. But to succeed, you need financial discipline. That means knowing how to spend wisely, avoiding reckless habits, and setting aside part of your income to invest consistently every month. Warren Buffett, the greatest investor of all time, once said, "Do not say what is left after spending, but spend what is left after saving." Of course, all investments carry risk, but you can always tailor your risk to your comfort level. If you're risk averse, you can invest in index funds like the S&P 500, a collection of America's top companies. These funds are less volatile than individual stocks and have historically returned about 7–10% annually over the long term. That's a powerful number if you stay patient and don't panic. I didn't always believe in the power of small investments, but after walking the path myself, I learned this. The dollars you put into financial assets today could become hundreds or thousands in the future if you let time and compound interest do the work. Let me give you an example. If you invest $300 a month in an index fund with an 8% annual return, for 20 years, you'll have over $170,000. After 30 years, that number could grow beyond $400,000. All from one simple act, repeated again and again. A habit, small, steady, and consistent. I used to fear the financial markets. The ups and downs overwhelmed me. But after learning more, I realized investing isn't a game for math wizards. It's a game for the patient, and for those seeking freedom without much time or capital. Financial investing is the shortest, lightest, and most realistic path forward. Remember this: financial freedom doesn't come from how much you earn. It comes from how much you keep and what you let that money do for you. I chose to begin with the simplest step, and if you're feeling stuck in life's relentless race, this might be the place for you to start again. Start small, but stay consistent. Start slow, but stay steady. And one day, you'll realize you built your own financial future, not through luck, but through intentional choices, repeated over time. And at that point, I finally understood. Financial freedom isn't some distant dream. It's a plan, it's a journey, and it's a promise you make to yourself. Are you ready to take the next step? Because the next type of asset will give you an invisible power, something you can't see, but that could change your life forever. 4. God's money. I used to feel secure watching my bank account grow each month. The numbers ticking upward felt like progress, a quiet reassurance that I was inching closer to financial stability. But then one day, I came across a news article about hyperinflation and collapsing currencies in other parts of the world. A shiver ran down my spine as a thought crept in. What if the dollar isn't as strong as we think it is? What we call money is, at the end of the day, just paper inked with the signature of a government official. It has no intrinsic value. You can't eat it. You can't wear it. It can't protect you from the tides of global uncertainty. Its worth exists only because we believe in it, and that belief can vanish in an instant. History doesn't whisper, it shouts. Venezuela was once the richest country in South America, but when hyperinflation hit, their currency turned into confetti. People carried stacks of cash to buy a loaf of bread. In Zimbabwe, a suitcase full of money could barely buy a meal. These aren't distant dystopias, they're cautionary tales, reminders that if you rely solely on paper money, your wealth can disappear faster than a click. That's when I started seeking something more grounded, something people have trusted for thousands of years. What some call God's money: gold, silver, oil, food. Assets not printed by central banks, but extracted from the earth. Real things, tangible value. Have you ever wondered why countries still hoard gold in national reserves, even after abandoning the gold standard? Because gold is the truth. In times of war, financial collapse, or runaway inflation, gold remains a sanctuary. But gold isn't alone. Silver, crude oil, even wheat, sugar, and coffee all carry real, enduring worth. Why? Because no matter what happens to the markets, human beings will always need food and energy to survive. I think about Jim Rogers, the legendary investor who co-founded the Quantum Fund with George Soros. He deeply believes in the power of commodities. When financial markets became unstable, He didn't panic, he pivoted. He poured his capital into agriculture, precious metals, and energy. Jim once said, "Commodities are the safest investment in the world because they will always have intrinsic value." You might think commodity investing is reserved for experts, but today with tools like ETFs, anyone can get involved. You don't have to store gold bars in your basement. You can invest in SPDR Gold Shares, GLD, a fund that mirrors gold prices, or USO, which tracks the price of crude oil. These instruments are transparent, accessible, and practical for everyday investors. The greatest benefit of investing in commodities is protection. When inflation rises and the dollar weakens, commodity prices tend to go up. That means your portfolio doesn't just survive, it stays balanced. If you already invest in stocks, bonds, or real estate, adding commodities is like strapping on an extra shield in the battlefield of finance. And remember, investing isn't just a race to get rich, it's also the art of defense. Knowing how to preserve wealth can be just as important as knowing how to generate it. I'm not suggesting you put all your money into gold or silver, but I am saying this: diversifying into commodities is a wise, stabilizing move. It's how you stand firm when economic storms hit. It's how you make sure your assets don't vanish with the stroke of a pen or a shift in policy. Today, when I look at my investment portfolio, I don't just see numbers or ticker symbols. I see an ecosystem of real, resilient assets where commodities form a crucial pillar of strength. Because if you don't protect what you've built from the slow erosion of time and volatility, then all your hard-earned progress can quietly slip away. Don't let your wealth, your sweat, your sacrifice become just another figure waiting to be printed out of thin air. The road to financial freedom isn't just about moving forward, it's about guarding what you already hold. And now I understand. Sometimes, God's money is the quiet gift that preserves our freedom in the stormiest of days. 5 time. I used to believe the old saying, "Time is money." For years, I lived by that idea, working harder, packing every hour with tasks, chasing every opportunity to earn more. But one day, I stumbled upon a deeper truth. Time isn't just money, it's more valuable than money. You can always earn back lost cash. You can rebuild your career, find another opportunity, or recover from a bad investment. But once a day slips away, it's gone forever. Time's the only asset we all share equally. Rich or poor, powerful or ordinary, just 24 hours a day. The difference lies in how we spend it. When I look back on my youth, the hunger, the curiosity, the fearless drive to try and fail, I realize that youth itself is a kind of rare capital. When you're young, you can afford to take risks, make mistakes, fall flat on your face, and still rise again. That's something even billionaires can't buy. The most successful entrepreneurs in America understood this. Bill Gates dropped out of college at 20 to start Microsoft. Mark Zuckerberg launched Facebook as a sophomore. Elon Musk dove into startups in his early 20s. They didn't wait until they were ready. They simply started. That early start became a priceless advantage. But that doesn't mean if you're 40, 50, or 60, it's too late. Look at Colonel Sanders, the man behind KFC. He started his franchise in his 60s, not because he was lucky, but because he respected the time he had left and treated it with purpose. The real key is learning how to use time like an investment. Every evening after work, instead of zoning out in front of the TV or mindlessly scrolling through my phone, I began carving out just 30 minutes a night to learn something new. Investing, writing, marketing, anything that expanded my skill set. One of my friends worked a day job as an accountant, but at night, he taught himself how to code. 2 years later, he switched careers and doubled his income. Why? Because he turned his free time into an asset. You could start a blog, launch a YouTube channel, learn graphic design, a new language, or how to trade stocks. It doesn't matter what you choose, as long as you stop letting your hours disappear into nothing. There's a quote I once read that changed the way I think about time. Poor people trade time for money. Rich people use time to create value. And the wealthiest person isn't the one with the biggest paycheck. It's the one with the most freedom. The freedom to create, to think, to live meaningfully. So if you're chasing wealth, don't just ask, How much am I making per hour? Ask yourself instead, what am I building with each hour that passes? Am I investing in myself, in my passions, in my future? There was a time when I spent years being busy, but not better. Busy but stagnant. But the moment I began managing my time like an investor, deliberately, wisely, and with strategy, everything shifted. I didn't just start anymore. I started feeling wealthier too. In the end, I've come to understand something simple but profound. Whoever masters time, masters life. Time doesn't wait for anyone. But if you learn to use it the way a great investor uses capital, steadily, intentionally, and with vision, then success isn't some distant dream. It's the natural result of a life where no moment goes to waste. 6. Health. I used to believe that as long as I had money, I could solve any problem. But then one day, after spending nearly a week in the hospital from sheer exhaustion, I learned a sobering truth. Money can buy medicine, but it can't buy health. And if you don't start investing in your body today, someday you'll be forced to spend everything you've earned trying to repair the damage. In my 20s, I was like so many young people, skipping meals, sleeping too little, working non-stop, replacing breakfast with coffee, and using alcohol to unwind. I treated my body like a machine that could run forever without breaking down. But biology doesn't bargain. You can't wear down your body and expect it not to break. I began to notice people around me, barely in their 30s, already battling chronic conditions. High blood pressure, liver issues, digestive problems, insomnia. Not because they were weak, but because they had traded their youth for money. And now they were using that money to fix a body already burned out. What they didn't realize was this: health is the one asset that, once lost, renders all other assets meaningless. That's why I began to change. Not with anything dramatic, but with the smallest habits. I started waking up 30 minutes earlier to go for a walk. I began eating breakfast at a regular hour. I made a rule to stop working after 10 p.m. so my brain could truly rest. Within weeks, I felt sharper, more energized, more alive, and naturally, my productivity increased. Look at the most successful people. Richard Branson once said, "Working out gives me at least 4 extra hours of productivity every day." Or take Oprah Winfrey, who consistently practices meditation, healthy eating, and regular exercise. Not for appearances, but because she understands that a clear mind can only exist inside a well-cared-for body. We live in a time where illness doesn't wait for old age. It's driven by lifestyle. Sitting all day, eating on the go, chronic stress, constant sleep deprivation. That's the perfect formula to push your body past its limits. And once your body shuts down, it won't matter how many assets you own. You won't have the strength to enjoy any of them. If you truly want to be wealthy, not just in terms of money, but in terms of how deeply you experience life, then health is the first investment you must make. You don't need a private gym or a personal trainer. You just need to commit. Move your body daily, eat real food, get enough rest, and cut out toxic habits. Health is the foundation, the soil from which every seed of success grows. You could own $1 million business, invest in real estate, stocks, or gold. But if your body fails, those assets become nothing more than numbers on a page. That's why I constantly remind myself, a healthy body is a silent asset, but protects every other asset you're building. Don't wait until a doctor has to explain that to you. Start now, because no wealth is worth it if it comes at the cost of your own collapse. 7. Digital assets, the modern gold rush. We're living in an age where building wealth is no longer a privilege reserved for the rich or the well-connected. Today, with nothing more than a laptop, an internet connection, and a spark of creativity, anyone can build digital assets that generate real, sustainable income, often without any upfront capital. I remember starting out with a small YouTube channel, just an idea, nothing more. I had no budget, no big network, no fancy gear, but I had a strong belief in the value of what I could share and the willingness to show up consistently. And slowly, to my surprise, income began trickling in from ad revenue, from subscribers, from affiliate links. It was modest at first, but it proved something important. You don't need a storefront, a warehouse, or a team of employees to build a business anymore. And I'm far from alone. Take Pat Flynn, for example. He built his entire online empire through affiliate marketing and blogging, using nothing more than a laptop and a few online tools. Or Gary Vaynerchuk, who turned short-form YouTube videos into a media company worth millions. So what makes digital assets so powerful? First, the cost of entry is incredibly low. Unlike traditional businesses that require rent, staff, or inventory, starting a digital venture often costs next to nothing. You can launch a YouTube channel, a blog, or even an online course with almost zero overhead. All you need is creativity, patience, and a deep understanding of the value you can offer to others. Let's say you're passionate about cooking, tech reviews, travel, or personal development. You can start sharing your knowledge and experiences through video or writing. With time and consistency, those efforts can turn into multiple income streams. Ad revenue, sponsorships, product sales, or digital downloads. And unlike physical businesses, digital assets scale effortlessly. You're not bound by location or limited by store hours. With the right content, you can reach millions of people across the globe while sitting at your kitchen table. The potential is truly limitless. But beyond the income potential, digital assets offer something even more valuable: freedom. You're no longer tied to a desk or a single location. You can work from coffee shop, a cabin in the woods, or a beach halfway across the world. More importantly, you can build passive income, the kind that continues flowing even while you sleep. That's the beauty of the digital age. Opportunity is no longer locked behind degrees, investors, or real estate. It's in your hands, waiting for you to act. You don't have to be tech savvy or wealthy. You just need one good idea, the courage to start, and the discipline to keep going. Digital assets are the new frontier of wealth, and they're available to anyone bold enough to step into the arena. So don't wait for permission. Don't wait until you have enough. Start small, start scrappy, start today. Because in the digital world, the only real limit is your willingness to begin. 8. The power of relationships. If you want to grow your career or increase your wealth, there's one key you cannot overlook: your network. Have you ever heard the saying, "A satisfied customer is your next referral"? That's not just a catchy phrase. It's a powerful strategy in both business and life. The truth is, your relationships don't just open doors. They can accelerate your personal growth and expand your business faster than you ever imagined. Take Howard Schultz, the visionary behind Starbucks. He didn't build a global coffee empire just by focusing on quality beans. He built it by understanding the power of connection. Every Starbucks store became part of a living, breathing network where customers weren't just buyers. They became brand advocates. They shared, they recommended, and the brand grew organically and exponentially. Your network is the bridge to new opportunities. An old friend might become a future business partner. A random encounter could lead to a life-changing investment. But how do you build a powerful network? It starts with doing your work well. Excellence is the foundation. If your product, service, or skill doesn't speak for itself, no relationship will carry you far. People are drawn to those who bring real value. But don't stop there. Learn to market yourself. Don't wait for opportunity to knock. Go out and create it. Share your story. Be present at events, meetings, and even casual get-togethers. Personal branding isn't just about what you do. It's about how others feel when they meet you. A strong personal brand creates trust, credibility, and lasting impressions. Look at Oprah Winfrey. She didn't just become a household name through television interviews. Her vast network allowed her to connect with the most influential minds across industries. That network, rooted in authenticity and purpose, helped shape her empire. Your network is one of the most powerful assets you can own. With the right relationships, you don't just access more opportunities, you gain wisdom, mentorship, collaboration, and momentum. Every person you meet could be the missing link to your next breakthrough, if you know how to nurture that connection. Remember, when you know how to build and maintain strong relationships, you're not just gaining friends or partners. You're acquiring something far more valuable: opportunity. Financial freedom doesn't come from luck. It comes from smart decisions and financial discipline. In a world that's constantly shifting, there are many roads to wealth, but what matters is choosing the right one and staying committed to it. Your financial decisions today are shaping the life you'll live tomorrow. So ask yourself, what are you choosing? Whether you invest in a business, real estate, digital assets, or relationships, remember this timeless wisdom. Don't work hard your whole life. Work smart so your money works for you. That's the core principle followed by some of the most successful people in the world. Look at Elon Musk. His bold ideas became reality not just because of innovation, but because he built a financial ecosystem where money and assets work for him. Or Warren Buffett, who quietly built his empire through smart, disciplined decisions over decades. Not by working longer hours, but by working smarter. So what are you waiting for? Start today, while you still have time, energy, and opportunity. Don't let fear or hesitation hold you back from your financial future. Each day is a chance to change your life, and action now can lead to freedom later. Be bold, be consistent, and you will find the path to success you've always dreamed of. Thank you for watching until the end. By now, you've seen it clearly. The rich don't work harder. They work smarter and let their assets make money for them. These 8 assets are the roadmap to financial freedom. The only question left is, will you start building your own freedom or keep working for someone else's dream? If this video inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment. Subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the next steps in our journey, where we build a life of freedom and prosperity together.